4.
It's time for BGFG.
Gonads are useful for their purpose, but they are no substitute for brains.
All right, here we go.
I have to say, well done, Ray. Well done. Well played, my adversary. Well played.
Phoenix isn't gay, but if he was, he'd pick Freemo.
Oh yeah, he'd be living down there with you in the bunker, man. Woo!
Once you go free, you always do the Z.
Like one day of not going to Duncan, and you could get a controller, a new Xbox, possibly even a cord.
And now, the two guys that took 2 years to fix their audio problems.
Welcome to BGFG episode 439. I'm your host, Chris Phoenix, and joining me, as always, my co-host, my brother from another mother, my compadre in Helldivers, Mr. Freemo Z. How are you doing this week, sir? I can't hear a word you're saying.
Oh, okay. Well, I guess I'll be audible then, instead of just holding it all in. I'm doing great, man.
That's awesome. That is great. I was at the DMV today.
I'm sorry.
I know. It wasn't as bad as I thought. But man, there were some people there that were unhappy on a lot of different things. they were not happy on shit at all.
Yeah, speaking of, I've got to go.
Soon.
Yeah,
Oh,
before my next birthday.
Yeah, that's a couple of months. Yeah, it's a couple of months away.
Schedule a day off for that.
Yes, that sounds
Like
like
a personal day.
That sounds like a gaming day. That's what that sounds like.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, getting started on this week's show, we usually do something on occasions called Not Coming Down for Breakfast, which is unfortunately somebody from our Gen X lifestyle or somebody that we like or anything like that we feel is important has passed away and is not coming down for breakfast. And we offer them up a golden ticket and towel because you have to have a towel. And if you show that golden ticket anywhere, it's just, hey, dude, I bought this ticket. And unfortunately, our announcement is Mr. Louis Gossett Jr. Passed away at 89 years young. That's a good and long life right there.
It is. I do have to correct one thing, though.
What?
We don't offer a golden ticket.
We don't?
No, it's black on one side and white on the other.
Why is that?
You don't remember our 30-ish tickets that we had?
Yes, but it was supposed to be golden. It was more expensive for the golden ticket to be printed. We were on a tight budget, man.
Maybe we can get some updated ones, BGFG, and make them gold.
We can try. The 30-ish one was black and white.
Because it's only been 10 years since we had those made.
Yeah, I should probably get around to that sooner rather than later. Louis Gossett Jr., Academy Award winner, did television, TV shows. Gen Xers will remember him from Iron Eagle. Yeah,
he did quite a few of those. He did some other things too, but that's probably his most prominent memory of ours.
He did hundreds.
Yeah.
Iron Eagle, for those that are listening and don't remember it, Iron Eagle, you remember from the young kid that went nowhere in acting in the 80s and 90s. He had a Walkman on his thigh in the airplane to make him fly better. He was the drill sergeant and officer and a gentleman. And my personal favorite, and I think the pinnacle of his career, one of the ones that we have listed as a film, not a movie, is Enemy Mine, which was tremendous. Enemy Mine was Louis Gossett Jr. playing an alien and really, acting, just pure acting, and it was great. I think it was really well done.
It was.
So golden ticket and towel to you, my friend. Let's get into this week's news because we got a lot to get to, and Freemo's got to clear his voice because he's going to have a lot to say.
BGFG News. You heard it here third.
All right, so we're working just to let everybody know that's watching. While Fremo's doing his mouth exercises, I'm not wearing my glasses today, not because I don't have contacts in. I don't. Because I got a teleprompter. So hopefully this is going to go well rather than bad. All right. Yes, I am squinting at everything right now. All right, so first up in the news, Apple apparently has a monopoly. I don't know if you knew this, Fremo. The DOJ.
Well, I mean, we've said for years they have their own little universe, and if you want to
They
play
do.
in it, you have to pay.
Which I don't disagree. So the Department of Justice, joined by 16 other states' attorney general's offices, all filed this lawsuit. And it's a civil antitrust lawsuit. And I quote, attempt to monopolize the smartphone market. They're claiming that Apple used contract and technology restrictions to limit developers, which made it difficult to compete with Apple. Now, I don't even know how I handle that first sentence because there's a lot to unpack.
Well, yeah, there is, and I think the easiest way to explain this to our average user is going to be simply talking about texting between Android and iPhone.
Oh, come on. Seriously?
Now, hear me out. Hear me out.
Okay,
My phone takes
Yep.
phenomenal pictures.
it does.
If I send it to you, it's going to look crappy.
Yes.
If I send you a video, it's going to look crappy.
Uh-huh. Yep.
And that's not because the quality of what my phone does, it's what Apple is changing so that when you view it, you basically say, ooh, Android phones suck. I'm going to stay with Apple.
Would you say, oh, I see where you're going with that. Would you say it's an interpolarity? Oh, I can't even say that word.
Interoperability.
Yes. I haven't even had anything yet. Would you say it's that's the fault?
No, because obviously I can view stuff coming from Apple and Apple can view stuff coming from me. They are legitimately downgrading things coming from other non-Apple devices to influence the Apple user.
Okay. I
Now,
disagree
there's
with that.
obviously there's more to it than that. That's just the
That's what I
simplest
was going to get to. Yeah.
explanation as to what part of this lawsuit is about.
Right. And I would say that they're not trying to fix it. I don't necessarily agree with what you're saying, but I understand what you're saying on the back end.
Yeah.
And I would agree with you that Apple's not trying to fix it. Like they're not reaching out to anybody. They're not.
It's not that they're not trying to fix it. It was intentional.
I don't know. But let me wait.
You and I can stand next to each other, take the exact same picture.
Yeah.
They're going to look extremely similar on both phone screens.
Right.
We can both then send that picture to Liza.
Yep.
Yours going to look phenomenal, just like it does on your screen. The one I send her, even though it looks fine on my phone or any other application that I look at it on, isn't going to look good. Why is that? That's intentional. That is a downgrading coming from outside the universe. That's intentional. They could let that picture come through just fine.
And I can't even for our listeners and me being an Apple fanboy, I can't even disagree with that because I don't know the entire type of back end that they're using, if that makes sense. Like I don't know. I know they're both JPEGs, but I don't know what the beyond that is. I don't know if there's some sort of compression technique that's being used that's not authorized or something. But let me say the quote that is in the lawsuit is that Apple undermines app products and services that would otherwise make users less reliant on the iPhone, kind of like saying what Fremo said, promote interpolarity and lower costs for consumers and developers. Apple exercises its monopoly power to extract more money from consumers, developers, and content creators, artists, publishers, small businesses, and merchants, among others. So that lends to what Freemo is saying. Now, the DOJ is not saying that Apple has the majority of the market, which is what everybody initially thinks,
Right.
but that they limit what others can do on their technology. And the best example I would give would be Tile and AirTags. So AirTags is the same thing as Tile. Tile is the same thing as AirTags. But stuff that you could do on like Tile doesn't have access to as much of the AirTags system in the ecosystem as Apple does with its AirTags. That is a problem. I don't disagree with that. I don't disagree with that at all. And the DOJ breaks it down like this. It blocks innovative super apps. Apple has disrupted the growth of apps with broad functionality that would make it easier for consumers to switch between competing smartphone platforms, suppressing mobile cloud streaming services. Apple's blocked the development of cloud streaming apps and services that would allow customers to enjoy high quality video, like Free was saying, video, games, and other cloud based pictures applications without having to pay for expensive smartphone hardware, excluding excluding cross-platform messaging apps. Apple's made the quality of cross-platform messaging worse, less innovative, and less secure for users, so its consumers have to keep buying iPhones for iMessage platform. I disagree with that. Your iPhone 10 works the same as the iPhone 14 in the Apple
Right,
ecosystem.
but you have
in
to
the
stay
Apple
in the
ecosystem.
Apple universe.
Correct. In the Apple ecosystem.
That's what they're saying. If you want to maintain, like I can take my Android phone and buy any Android phone I want. I can get Motorola. I can get Samsung. I could buy LG. I could find some Cricket phone.
Right, but
whatever. And all of my stuff will carry over.
But what's the software that it's running? Android.
Right, it's still running Android, but I can go to anybody that's running Android. And that's what they're saying. They're saying that you can't go from Samsung to Apple or Apple to Samsung without some loss happening because of the way Apple's universe is constructed. Look, I'm not saying that this lawsuit has full merit. I think there's some things that Apple could very easily tweak that would make this go away.
Oh, 100%. 100%. Good.
But I mean, at the end of the day, it's not a monopoly, in my opinion. It's not. It's not.
Well, one of the other things that the DOJ said was the diminishing of functionality of non-Apple smartwatches.
Is it semi-fascist brainwashing?
Oh, good Lord. Really? They limit third-party digital wallets. Apple's prevented third-party apps from offering tap-to-pay functionality. I'm going to stop at that one because that's bullshit. There's other companies that have tried. The fact that Apple announced that when you use tap-to-pay, it's a randomized number for your credit card, so your credit card can't be compromised. Best Buy, Target, they've all tried their own tap-to-pay app, but it screamed your information out there, and that's not right. I think all of these things are garbage. Apple has the right to protect their own innovations, Free. If you,
like I said, I'm not saying that every point of this lawsuit has merit. I think they lumped a bunch of things in together, kind of like let's throw as much at them as we can. So hopefully, when we get into the whole bargaining compromise mode, we can get the things changed that we want changed. I think that's what a lot of this is.
And I think it's also comes from, because in my experience, this comes a lot from when, kind of like the series of tubes back in the day. Some congressperson gets their panties in a bunch because they couldn't get their iPhone repaired or they didn't get an email they were supposed to get. And some intern turns around and lies to them and they create a whole huff and want to create a lawsuit or new congressional hearing to understand what's going on. I'm sure that's what happened here because a lot of this stuff is just non-issue. And of course, they didn't stop there, Free. It's not bad enough that, so our argument right now, and as the Apple defense that I am, is that Apple has the right, whether you like it or not, and you, I think, agreed, Apple has the right to have their own space, have their own ecosystem, to play only in the Apple world. Apple's been doing it with their computers for decades, and nobody said boo because they don't have the majority stake. Windows does, or Microsoft does with Windows. Now that Apple's doing that with their phones, where they are the most popular. Now, make no mistake, sheeple. Apple does not have the highest selling phone in the world. They don't. Samsung does. And if you want to go by operating systems, Android by a long mile is beating Apple. But in the U.S. and North America, well, basically in North America, Apple kind of
In the
holds
European market to a degree.
Not many. It's really a toss-up in the European market. Their hardware, though, I stand by Apple because their hardware, they're doing security things that can't be undone.
Oh, yes, they are.
Why? Why? I'm not even. Why gonna be a douche like that? So
What? I just said yes, they are.
I'm saying that their lockdowns are lockdowns for a
Yeah.
reason. Like they just recently did side loading in Europe because the EU demanded it, and that's going to be
Yeah, and I think that's also part of what brought this lawsuit on is they saw what happened with Apple in the European Union between the side loading
Yeah.
and USB-C.
Yep. And you and I have.
Because you and I both
agreed.
know if Steve Jobs was still alive, he'd be like, "Fine, we just want to sell iPhones there."
Oh yeah, 100%. He'd be like, no,
Yeah,
we're
he'd
not
be like,
exporting it.
"Pull it, we're out of that market."
Yeah, Steve Jobs didn't want to compromise, but with the USB-C had to happen. That was, I think that had to happen. As for some of the other things that transpired, I don't agree with the side loading, and you've said it yourself that it's going to be a shit show. The only weakness of Android is the side loading. It really is. Android's a phenomenal OS, mobile OS. But side loading is the only issue they have. They don't have it locked down. So you can't get malicious software, and that's a problem. That's
Well, I mean,
they
don't. I mean, they've made steps in the right direction with
yes,
their app
100%.
store as well,
100%.
because their app store was an absolute
Google Play.
Yeah, well, I mean, just the there was no vetting of any kind on the apps. Anybody and their brother could just throw something together and put it and publish it to the to the to Google Play. And they've made, obviously that became an issue really quick, and they've made steps to correct that and do better. So that's nice. But obviously Apple never really had that issue because of the way they maintain their ecosystem.
Right.
And like I said, I don't think a huge part of this lawsuit has any legs to stand on. I think some of it's just going to be summarily just dismissed.
I agree. But you know what? Also,
I really don't think that the lawsuit will end up going to an actual, civil trial, antitrust trial. I think literally what's happening is they're just trying to. They've seen that Apple's given a little bit in the other markets in Europe, and now they're just going to try and push back on them a little bit and make them play ball.
Did you happen to read?
I mean, I literally think the end game of this lawsuit is the government gets unfettered access to Apple's ecosystem
so bad.
Yeah,
they want a backdoor.
You and I both
bad.
know. Yeah, you and I both know that they do, and they're gonna try and use this lawsuit to basically make them play ball.
And here's another little piece that they added into that legislation. Because this is one you'll never argue. You will never argue with me about this. They loved it. They also said Carplay is anti-competitive. Fucking Carplay. Seriously?
It exerts too much control over the auto manufacturing industry.
Oh, please. Apple being
No, that's
innovative.
what they said.
I know.
That's what they said. And I mean, in reality, there were certain years and models, manufacturers that you could not, because you can't really effectively do CarPlay and whatever Android's version of it is in the same system in a car.
Android Auto.
When all of this was first coming about, obviously now cars are more sophisticated.
Oh yeah.
They can handle whatever. But initially, when all these cars were coming out and they were Apple CarPlay compatible, Android couldn't access those vehicles.
Oh, yeah.
They had no way.
They were caught with their pants down.
Some of the stuff in this lawsuit is old, for lack of a better term.
Now-
It's not even an issue anymore. But like I said, they just compiled a list.
Yeah.
They're going to go to court. They're going to want to get to a back room and start haggling and get to what the real issue is. In my opinion, that is, we want access. We want to be able to, like every other device out there, we want to be able to do this, that, and the other with it without user permission.
Yeah.
Without, whatever. And I mean, so we'll see. We'll see what happens.
I just want to say that the part of the Apple CarPlay, which is literally one of my favorite things, I my new car does not have it in it, and I've already looked up third-party screens that I could put in, not even stereos, because you can't replace the stereo, so I have to put a third-party screen in there that allows Apple CarPlay. But to say that they have a monopoly on it, you have Lucid's badass Lucid Air. If you haven't checked that out, go look at Lucid cars and just look at their dash. It's across the entire dash and down the center console. It's amazing. You have Mercedes M-Bucks Hyperscreen. You have Kia Connect, Hyundai's Blue Link, Uconnect. There's plenty of options, and even if the congressional boomers can't figure them out, there's still plenty of alternatives to this.
Yeah.
So we're going to keep an eye on it. We're going to keep an eye on the story. And when it disappears, we'll let you know. Oh, it's bullshit. Besides, Apple has enough issues going on right now. Did you hear about what happened with their chips? You're just soaking this up. I know you're soaking this up.
They don't go real well with salsa. I know that.
I see what you did there. That's a douche move. Nope. Apple's M chips, all the M chips that we've been talking about here on the show that are amazing.
That you've just been touting and touting and touting, and I've just sat back and waited.
I've enjoyed talking about how good they are outside of gaming for everything and how they've separated the product line. So you have MacBook Airs, then you have the Pros. They've really defined the difference between the two. Yes, super excited. Well, the M
I didn't
chips
realize that you were able to grab your ankles anymore.
They have a huge vulnerability. Yeah, they have a huge vulnerability. Hackers can harvest encryption keys from Macs and MacBooks now. And it's
and it was surprising to me when I read some of the stats. Yeah. A 2048-bit encryption in less than an hour?
Yes.
That's weak, dude.
That's bad. That's
very bad.
And
so the lawsuit may go away on its own.
And you know what the worst part is about this, Free? The worst part. It's fucking unpatchable.
Yeah.
It's in the hardware architecture.
Yeah.
And this includes everything, the M1, M2, M3 from 2020 on.
Yeah. So basically, don't buy anything new Apple right now. Wait for them to come out with the latest chip.
No, I had to do some research because I knew you were going to come out with that. So it doesn't exactly.
So you tell me the average user is going to be able to put in place the safety protocols necessary to prevent this from being an issue?
Yes.
I'd like to hear this.
So it doesn't.
I just handed you a whole long rope. Let's see what happens.
It doesn't exactly leak your information, but it gives access to the encryption key. After several hours, like Frebo said, you can get the access to passwords and such. Apple's made aware of this in December of last year. But like we said before, it's baked into the architecture. There's not a lot you can do about it. And the thing that I did the research on is that what they're going to do is they're going to send an update. They're going to force an update to those software that's not going to allow access to that type of encryption without two-factor authentication. The good news is that it's not just like every single password that you have. The way it's accessed is through certain parties, not necessarily third parties, they're first party, but certain actions that go through. And while it's decrypting, it allows it to be open, and they can change that in the software. But the actual leak itself in the hardware, chipset architecture cannot be changed. So on one hand, if you're super paranoid, Fremo is 100% right. That wait, buy the next set of chipsets that come out. Listen to our show, and we'll tell you when those chips come out. But wait for the next chipsets. But if you're not super concerned about it and you trust me, you can go ahead and buy it, and the next update will make it a lot better.
I'm going to sit on one hand and count all the people that trust you. Here we go.
Oh, I hate you so much. But equally,
Yep, I could do that with one hand.
Equally disturbing in the chip world, China's abandoning.
Oh, hold on. We're not done. We're not done with this yet.
Oh,
you
yes,
still
we are.
haven't explained to me how an average user
Software update. They're going to
but the
force
software update doesn't.
the software update's not going to give access to that part of the architecture.
And what's the result of that going to be?
Should be low impactful, they said.
Should be.
Yes, should be. I'm with you on this one. I'm reporting what I read, and I agree with you. When they say should be non-impactful, that's something we have to wait and see.
Okay, so how often do you authenticate with this update? Is it every time you try to access something encrypted?
No, it's when an outside when something I think the way it was worded was that when something that it didn't recognize outside of the platform is trying to access passwords and encrypted data.
That's what I just said.
It's going to take two-factor authentication to verify.
Yeah.
Instead of Apple, because Apple doesn't usually do 2F.
So all that wonderful stuff that you've saved in your keys and that's all third party. Every time you go to use it, you'll have to authenticate.
Only if you're off your standard machine is the way I read it. So if you run just a Mac Mini at home and you're always doing work on there, you're good after the patch. Well, the software detour. If you're at
Band-Aid, let's call it what it is.
It is. You're 100% right. I cannot argue that. It is a Band-Aid until they come out with new chips. But they have to do something. It's hard baked into the architecture. They can't do anything fucking about it.
I know.
You can't
what they should do is expedite the fix and then replace everybody's hardware. That's what they should do. And you can't disagree with me on that.
I'm not disagreeing with you on that, but this is not like a normal. So the insides of a Mac are not like the insides of a Intel based Windows laptop.
But what do you think the DOJ is going to do with this information in light of the current lawsuit?
Oh, they're going to add it. 100% they're going to add it. It's
going to be a mandatory recall. They'll add that. Just like a car manufacturer, just like cars with an airbag problem or the brakes don't engage if you're under 3 miles an hour in reverse turning left, all these crazy things that they have to recall on. Trust me, the DOJ so badly wants access to the back end of Apple's universe that they're gonna use this to hamstring them.
That's true, but again,
they'll end up forcing a recall.
But
I mean, I may be wrong. But
no. We're speaking hypothetically here, but I'm on your side on this because I think Apple has enough money, $4 trillion. They have something like $500 billion just in spending money, so they can afford a full recall. And if I was Tim Cook, I would authorize a full recall as opposed to giving that backdoor access. You know what I mean? Like I would soak it up. Would you become a $3 trillion company if you recall and exchange everybody's computers? I mean, it's not difficult. It really isn't, because the specs haven't really changed on the machines. If you bought a MacBook Air with an M2 chip, 16 gigs of RAM, and a 0.5 terabyte hard drive, I could get you 15 of those right now down the street.
Yeah.
If they just issue new ones, it's not that big of a deal. What is a big deal is our next story, which is China abandoning Intel and AMD. That is cause for concern. China's Information Security Evaluation Center has now banned AMD and Intel, deeming them not to be safe or approved any longer. And this is from desktop to server. The ones that are on the list are Chinese that they can keep. And that's not all.
Yeah.
This goes to software as well. No more Windows. So now you're going to have, just chew on this for a minute. No Intel, no AMD, no Windows operating system. So now you're going to have an entire nation coming up. Now think about the damage. Think about the damage my 16-year-old upstairs can do with Windows. Think about the shit that we used to do free with Windows. Now you're going to have an entire nation of very smart individuals, very well schooled, are going to become experts in Linux. That scares me a little. The OS that
This is a geopolitical move.
the OS that runs
all
the
this
entire
is.
internet is Linux, and you're going to give
This-
China.
This is pushback. This is pushback on our ban of certain Chinese manufacturers. They're taking it to the next level. If anybody thinks that we're not at war with China, they're crazy.
You're sad.
They're crazy. We are. I mean, obviously, it's not progressed to the point where anybody's getting invaded and stuff.
Right.
Bombs are dropping, but we have been in an economic war with China for a long time.
Yes,
and they're upping the stakes right now.
Yep.
They're pushing for Taiwan like nobody's business. Where do we get all of our chips from?
Taiwan.
The vast majority of them.
You have to be a little bit concerned, Free. You have to be, by giving the Chinese, the state of China, I guess you could say, or the country of China. You have to be a little concerned with
China.
People's
Let's address them by their proper name.
You shill. Making them experts on Linux because that's the only operating system they have. You have to be a little concerned. Knowing what you and I know and how powerful Linux is when you really understand it.
Yeah.
It's going to be a problem. You're not concerned.
Dude, I can live off the grid. I don't have a problem. No, I'm not concerned because Country Boy can't survive.
Yeah, that's true.
But, yeah, I mean, this is in my opinion, this is the most aggressive action that they've taken against the United States.
I would agree. 100%.
It doesn't seem like it unless you understand what they're really doing.
Yeah.
Which is they're the only step that we can really take at this point to try and counter this without going full scale invasion is to cut their internet access. I mean, really, where do we go from here?
There's no place to go. There really isn't. I'm sure they have back access to the internet through Soviet.
What can we do? We've already said, hey, we're not going to bring these devices in. We're not going to allow these manufacturers' products in.
Right.
We don't have a whole lot left to do. I mean, they literally, if they wanted to cripple America, just stop shipping the stuff that we order.
Yeah, but I think
everybody would go into a complete panic because they can't. I mean, where are you going to get your Apple products from?
You can't shut their internet off either. I guarantee you can't, because there's so many back channels.
Well,
look, they're in bed with Russia, so they
we could
jump off.
We could, but my point is to really do it. It's going to, like you just said, it's going to bring others into it.
Exactly, it's definitely going to bring others.
So China's just they just went all silverback. They puffed up and did a little drumming. And don't think for a minute that that's not what this is. They're getting froggy, and somebody's going to jump at some point.
You know who else got a little froggy and started to beat their chest like a silverback? That didn't make me too happy. Was Boeing. You can say what you want, but
that wasn't beating chest. That was just straight up subversive and evil.
Yeah.
I'm gonna call it what it is.
If you didn't know, there was a Boeing whistleblower. His name was John Barnett. John was the whistleblower for Boeing, and he was their quality manager for more than 30 years. He learned and exposed very serious safety issues with the 787. And then he was retaliated against within the company. Now, as for somebody that works for a large company, Fremo does as well, the fact that they say that there's no retaliation, you have to watch 150 videos on anti-retaliation, you guys are full of shit.
Bullshit.
There is retaliation all the friggin' time, and good luck trying to prove it. Oh well, Fremo's performance wasn't that good, so we had to bounce him down. Or Phoenix's performance wasn't what we thought, so we demoted him. That shit happens. Don't think a kid does it for a minute. Retaliation happens all the time, and all those people. Honestly, the day that I leave my company is going to be a tirade on this show. And I have coworkers that are literally waiting for it and hoping for it. So I'm hoping they're not going to try to get me fired, though. That would really suck. Anyway, so then he was forced into retirement in 2017, where he filed the retaliation case, and it was going to trial in June. So he was already doing depositions. His lawyer and family said that he was excited to finish this up and get it all behind him and move on with his life. But after a call to the police for a wellness check during the deposition, he was found dead in his hotel. Guess
Actually,
what it was?
He was found dead in the car at the hotel.
I thought it was a hotel. It was in the car?
He was in the car at the hotel
With
a gunshot wound.
With a self-inflicted gunshot wound.
To the head.
This is such bullshit. The New York Post stated that when
first of all, this isn't easy to do, but in a car, it's even less,
Right. Yeah, it's going to be surprising when they don't find a bullet hole exiting the vehicle. Just saying.
Or the brass.
Yeah.
He collected his own brass after he shot himself.
Yeah, he shot himself in the head twice. Yep, that's suicide. The New York Post, he didn't shoot himself twice. We're not giving false information. We're making a joke where we shouldn't. The New York Post stated that when they talked to him last, that he was concerned that he could end up dead for talking about this sort of thing. And Huemo is dead. So
and told a friend, if anything happens, it's not suicide.
Man, I can't even. I don't know. Maybe he should have got a ticket and towel this week too.
Yeah.
Because this is a man that's just trying to do his job. And I can speak for myself, and I'm sure Fremo can speak for his self. When you assign us to do a job, especially Gen Xers, when you assign us to do a job, this is how we're built. We do the job. We do the job to the best of our ability with what you gave us. We don't sit there and go, oh, I'm not doing more than that. It's not my job. No. I don't like that this part is not my job, and we're going to talk about this later, but I'm going to go ahead and get this done.
Yeah.
That's why we're there before we start our shift. We're there a little bit after we have our shift, because that's the way we work. And this guy did his job. But the number crunchers above.
And on top of that, not only are we going to do our job, we're going to do our job the way we were raised to do a job, which is right the first time.
Exactly.
Which makes us very, very dangerous to the corporate world because he's a QA manager. His job is to point out problems, and they don't want some of these problems coming to light because it's going to cost them too much money.
There you go. That's it right there. That's it, 100%. I've watched it happen in my company. You don't want to address the issues because it might create something that's going to affect your golden umbrella.
Yeah.
And that's bullshit, man. You can't keep doing that.
He didn't kill himself.
No, not at all.
I don't care what report they put together. You will never convince me that this man killed himself.
I agree, 110%. Just like Jeffrey Epstein didn't commit suicide. Jeffrey Epstein.
Well, that dude should have killed himself a long time ago.
But he definitely didn't at the end. All right, let's get to this week's music. We're about halfway done now. Yahoo! We're going to get into, I got some music today. It's the Bluestones. If you never heard of the Bluestones, pretty rocking. This one's called Let It Ride. We'll catch you on the other side for some exciting, titillating stories.
Xbox news, because it won't be coming from Sony.
Yeah, right. stuff right there. I enjoy it a lot.
They have a really good sound.
Yeah. Two-man band like oh my gosh, it just escaped me.
Black Keys,
Yeah, the Black Keys, which we love. But I
21
can't remember the name.
Pilots,
What was it?
21 Pilots.
I didn't even realize it was two people.
Yeah.
Those
Yeah,
21.
crazy, right?
Yeah. All right, let's get into this week's stick style. Oh no, wait. We have to talk about what we're drinking.
Oh, okay.
I have it's started. It's gonna be Modelo. Good old Modelo. Started cranking up the golden Modelo. What do you got?
This is a raspberry lemonade concoction.
Oh no. Oh, Fremo's got moonshine. Oh,
I didn't
that's
say
not
that.
good. Really? That's cheers to you, my friend. All right. Oh, that was good. Let's get into stick style.
Gaming.
Tasty. A little tasty.
That's all right.
Free, don't keep drinking. Stop. No free stop. You're not gonna make the end of the show. Ah, fuck me sideways. All right, folks, we are now on a time limit. And for those
That's
that are
pretty
watching the
smooth.
video, I'm gonna clip that. Because that's definitely worth a clip. All right, so first up, PlayStation Plus games for April. There's 3 of them. I didn't write them down because when I wrote the show notes, they still weren't out yet. For some ungodly reason, PlayStation, not only do you have the absolute drizzling shits for games that come out on your all access pass, but then you don't post it like it's a big fucking surprise. Like you wait until like the end of the first week of the month to go, surprise, here's our games. Because, you would expect when you do shit like that, that it'd be like a great game. But it's not. It's 3 shitty games. And I'm not disrespecting the developer or anything. They're not great games at all. They're just not. So we'll move on to the Xbox version. The Xbox games for April, you have Ark Survival Ascending on April 1st, today, as we're recording. Tomorrow, you'll have F123. You'll also have Super Hot Mind Control Delete, which is a fun game. Watched 2 of my kids play that. That's a fun-looking game right there. Turbo Golf Racing, April 4th. Botany Manor, April 9th. Harold Halibut on April 16th. And Uedin Chronicle 100 Heroes, April 24th. Another Crab's Adventure on April 25th. And Manor Lords, April 26th. Now, I just want to reiterate, not all of those games are 100% AAA, but you do have several, like F1. You have good games in there. Sony, take note, please. All right, moving on.
I'm
So
interested in the Manor Lords one, to be honest with you.
really,
Like a medieval
yeah.
civilization.
I mean, it looks good.
I
It
mean,
definitely looks
just to, it may be too much based on what I was reading about as far as how much control you have over everything. So it just may be one of those games that I just don't have time for, but
yeah.
it seemed interesting.
So Microsoft might be caving in a little bit, which I thought was exciting as well. This is a good piece of news right here. So with all the recent success with handhelds last year, Asus, MSI, Steam, even the PlayStation. Well, I shouldn't even say PlayStation. Because the PlayStation Portal is drizzling shits. It looks great. You sit there and you go, oh my God, I got a futuristic PSP. And then, blam, I don't, because I can only play it on my local Wi-Fi or dial in from Wi-Fi to a machine that's already running. So it's garbage. But of course, Nintendo's leading all of this charge because Nintendo has been there forever. And they really hit a home run on this. We've talked about it years ago. Right now, You can use cloud gaming on your mobile device, but it's hit or miss depending on the device you have and depending on your Wi-Fi strength. So, like, I can play it on my phone or I can play it on my iPad. On the iPad, it's a little bit better experience, but if you don't have good Wi-Fi, you're kind of screwed. There is a rumor right now that Microsoft insiders that they have several prototypes out right now for a handheld device for Xbox exclusively, and it will be fully native Xbox. It's not going to be like the PlayStation one. It's going to be a fully native Xbox handheld. Steam Deck, Steam Deck is a great product, but Nintendo hasn't really updated their hardware in years, Free. So I think this is a great time for them to jump into this market.
Yeah.
Um, I think it's really something that's going to go quite a good way here if they come out with it. I mean, I'd be super excited. I'd be the first one in line to buy it. I mean, the fact that I could play it anywhere, anytime, that's great. When I'm taking the kids to something or, the wife's talking.
Yeah, maybe it'll have cartridges where you can, load in your game.
Dude, don't tempt me with a good time. Having that Case Logic, the Case Logic zipper holder for all my games, so I could just rifle through them and flex when somebody gets into my car. Remember the CD ones? You'd
Oh, yeah.
flex when somebody pick something, and they'd spend the whole ride rifling through this whole thing of discs.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
good times. Good
That was
times.
like the greatest moment in my life when I had the one that was it was like 3x3
Yep.
and like 50 sleeves.
Yes.
It was like over 200 CDs. I bought so much garbage just to
because
stuff CDs
just to
in
fill
there.
it up. Yeah.
So people are like, "Oh, what do you got?" I'm like, "Hold
What
on
do
a
you
second."
What do you like?
Reach back and do the arm curl because it weighs 40 pounds.
Oh
And
my gosh, yes.
drop it in their lap. Wham! There you go.
Yeah,
You
the
can't find something you like in that, you don't need to be in my car.
the country stuff's at the back, man. Just check it out. So we're speaking of PlayStation just screwing the pooch. And again, screwing the pooch, it looks like they've given up on the PlayStation VR 2, which I have right over my corner over here, which is not getting a lot of use. I can't say it is because it's not. I use it for Gran Turismo because there's really nothing else to play on it. Now, we reported on the show earlier that they are going to they are planning on making the PlayStation VR 2 work with PC games, which I think is great because it's a nice alternative to some of the other ones that are out there right now.
It's just sad.
But it looks like they're giving up on it. And
Yeah, well, they gave up on it when they said, "Yeah, we're just going to open this up for PC gaming because we got nothing. We got no games."
so now they've paused production of it completely. Like they're not even
Yeah.
making anymore. Sony's produced 2 million units and the stock is piling up because even the refurbished ones are piling up in that. And on top of that, they recently laid off 8% of their staff. Many of them were on the VR software development team. So, again, with all the layoffs going on that don't make sense, this is another one of those. If you have a struggling division of your product, you either do one of two things. Either you cut it completely, cut it completely and say, we failed, let's move on. Or you invest a little bit more into it, give them free reign for that last couple of years. I can't think of a product that's done it, but off the top of my head, but I know there is products that have done that. Like they sit there, they do the last year, and they just launch everything at it. You know what? Dodge knew that they were discontinuing the V8s and the Challengers and Chargers as we know them right now. So they made an ambitious marketing campaign called Last Call, right? And those Last Call cars, if you haven't seen them, go to Dodge's website, look at the Last Call list. It is the what's what of, if you're a car person, it's the what's what of Challengers and Chargers. It really is. It gives you everything from scat packs to it gives you everything. And that's what they should have done. Instead, they cut the software development team and they said they were going to stop production of it. So are you quitting or are you not quitting? You're not making it clear here. Their only leverage at this point is their announcement that their headset is going to be compatible with PC VR games, like Fremo said. And I can't disagree with them. That's the only way you're going to make money back on your 2 million products that you created. That's the only way. Don't you agree?
I mean, that's it. They're going to have to, and they retained enough people to make it compatible for PC gaming. That's basically what they've said. They haven't officially said that, but looking at it from the outside, that's what they're doing. They're keeping enough people around with the knowledge that instead of this being a PlayStation exclusive, device,
Right.
okay, we need you guys to update the code so that this will be compatible with, blah, blah, blah. And then they'll let other developers develop the games. So I don't know why they're doing that. I mean, surely you would think Sony could attract the talent.
Yeah. Yeah, really.
But I
It's not like they
mean,
don't have money. I mean, my God, as much as Freebo and I hate to say it, you have enough talent, you have the user base that you could have created an amazing VR with Final Fantasy. You could have created any of those Japanese JRPG titles.
not that I would, but if they did a VR Zelda,
Oh, that would be sweet. I'd get into that. I'd get into that. That would be kind of tight. And
I mean,
for those,
I would almost buy a PlayStation for that.
my kids are huge into what? What?
I said almost.
Okay, I'll take almost. My kids play a lot of Pokemon. I don't get it. I personally just don't get Pokemon. But I have a lot of coworkers, younger generation, and my kids that play Pokemon. How do you not have a Pokemon VR? Like that seems like that'd be a moneymaker right there.
Yeah, that's a no-brainer. That right there, even if it was crappy, would have sustained that division for a decade.
Easily. 3D cards.
I mean, you literally have people walking around almost getting run over in traffic chasing Pokemon Go. I mean,
Sony, give BGFG a call. Drop us an email. It's in the show notes. We'll help you out. We'll hook you up. But on a more serious note, Free, there is a concern right now about younger folks getting cancer. And I don't understand how or why, but it is happening. And recently, the reason why I bring this up in the gaming section is because recently, Tyler Blevins, also known as
Ninja, yeah.
only 32 years old, announced that his doctors have found melanoma cancer on his foot. Now, you might be saying, oh, it's melanoma on his foot. It's still fucking cancer, people. Remember that.
Well, melanoma is actually one of the most dangerous cancers to get. They don't have an effective treatment now. They can extend your life through, regular skin checks, making sure they get rid of any more that pops up. But if melanoma ever goes literally more than skin deep, you're screwed.
The doctors are optimistic that they found it early enough for him. And just for those that might not know or remember, let's just put it in perspective. Ninja, like him or not, he kind of created this whole streaming as a viable income option for gamers. He did. Him, Dr. Disrespect, there's only a handful of these people that have done that as gamers, not as celebrities, Pokimane, Ajima. I know I said that wrong, but Ninja really kind of made it mainstream. Like he was on mainstream television. He was getting big time sponsors. He was buying mansions with the money that he was getting from YouTube or Twitch at the time. So he really made it viable. So it was an important story that I felt that we needed to put out there for our listeners. But, of course, as we go here, prayers, hopes, and dreams are out there for you, Mr. Blevins. I hope everything works out okay, man. As much as I don't like your hair color choice, you're a good person, and you brought a lot to the industry that people don't give you enough credit for. All right, let's move on to For What It's Worth before Freebo just falls off the chair.
No, I'm doing good, man.
I'm doing great. Oh, in the first of its kind, my man. I shouldn't even say that. Let me strike that. Nope.
Yeah.
Not my man. Nicholas Hawkes, 39, from Essex in the UK, was jailed for 66 weeks for sending unsolicited dick pics to a 15-year-old girl. You fucking scumbag. And it's about time this shit happens. My daughters have gotten dick pics sent to them.
Cyber flashing, which is the official term for it, is now a criminal offense in England.
Good.
as of the 31st of January. You know who hasn't put up with it for almost 15 years?
Who?
Scotland.
Yeah.
They put the
Squatted.
kibosh back on that back in 2010.
That
They're
is
like,
true.
wait, people can do what? Yeah, that's going on the books.
Why can't the U.S. get their shit together with just basic stuff like this? Like, I don't get it. Like, why is this so difficult? Unsolicited. We're going to block porn in Texas, which, by the way, DVD sales went dramatically up.
Right.
But we can't stop unsolicited dick pics. There's something wrong here, people. We're arguing about whether Carplay is a fucking monopoly. But a 50-year-old girl can get a dick pic from a grown-ass man and just get a slap on the hand. That's just not right. All right. You know what? Let's go into something that I like a little bit more. For all the Star Wars fans out there, which, by the way, as a Star Wars fan, I just purchased 3 new helmets. I'll post on our website the pictures of my helmet collection. Did you watch any of the Mandalorian Boba Fett stuff, Free? I know you're not
I
huge
watched
into Star
season
Wars.
1. I watched season 1.
Okay, so there's a character. Well, it doesn't matter. There's another helmet coming out, and they announced it already, and they put pre-orders in, but it doesn't come out till January 2025, and they don't pull the money from your account till January when it ships. And my wife and I looked at each other like, we can't be sure the account's going to have that money at that time. Almost a year from now. Like, I can't guarantee that I'm going to be doing some shit that week. So my brethren, my Star Wars brethren, not only do we have a new series starting up in the High Republic timeline, which was the introduction of the Sith. So if you remember in the movies, they said we haven't seen this type of Sith in 1,000 years. This is when it happened. And it's called the Acolyte. But in April, this month, Free, you're going to be able to purchase yourself blue milk. Nothing.
Yeah, I'm seeing
Nothing. You're such a dick. Yeah, I'm seeing that.
I don't understand why this is such a big deal. You can go buy a gallon of milk and some blue food coloring and make it yourself.
That's not
and
the
probably cost a
same.
lot less.
Not the same. Oh, so True Moo is coming out with on April 17th.
Actually, I could probably just start adding food coloring to my neighbor's cows to their food.
Did I read
and get
something
blue milk that way?
Did I read something that if they eat certain things like carrots or something like that, like you change the color of their milk?
That's what I'm saying. I may have to try this out.
I'd be
You're
interested.
like, I don't know why. I don't know why their milk's coming out blue, man. What are you looking at me for?
So April 17th, you can go to you can get it from True Moo. It looks like it might be an online only.
That'll buy it.
I'm gonna buy it. It's gonna come out in half gallons. It's vanilla flavored. Disney did not say if you're gonna be able to get it in a store or not, or how much it'll cost, which is so Disney. So this shit might be costing me like $50 for a half gallon of milk.
Well, first of all, it'll have to be somewhere that already carries the True Moo milk brand.
Yeah, that's like everybody. You don't have it down south? Really?
I mean, I guess somebody around here might carry it. But I live in Mayfield country. They actually have a big cow on a trailer that they take around to schools and do like Mayfield days.
So we have a company up here called Monroe Dairy.
Yeah.
And what their claim to fame is they still have really old trucks, delivery trucks. I honestly, as a car person, you and I, if I showed you, next time I get a chance, I'll show you pictures of their trucks. I don't know how they're keeping them running. Like, it's going to be like Band-Aids, super glue, and a lot of duct tape at this point.
Oh, it's probably a straight 6.
Well, even
which is
body,
easiest.
We're the Northeast. There's sold everywhere. I don't even know how they keep it alive. But the point that I was getting to was that the trucks are all cow printed, like the entire truck. And when you hit the horn, it makes a moo sound. It doesn't beep, which is
nice.
great. My brother worked for them a little bit, and when he shakes your hand, you squeeze like an udder. That's the official handshake. It's messed up. All right. So you'll be able to get that April 17th. Most likely you'll be able to order it. It's probably not going to be cheap. I am going to get it. I can guarantee you because the wife is already like, buy it. I'm like, I can't buy it yet. And for those Dungeons and Dragons fans out there, and there's a lot of them, a lot more than I ever thought. Let me speak on that for a minute. Have you noticed with anybody that you work with? And the funny thing is, I know you work alone a lot, but have you noticed the resurgence of Dungeons and Dragons? Like everybody at the company that I work at is
See,
playing
but
that
the problem is, yeah, it ain't cool no more.
game. It was
I
kind of cool when
mean,
we were younger.
everybody
Yeah.
plays it now. It's not back then. It
Yeah.
was, it was the rebellious thing to do. Now everybody and their brother wants to play it,
Yeah.
and they don't understand. It's
The sadness that we had to go through to be part of this. It was a
I
secret
mean-
organization.
well, I mean, not only that, but you didn't have all the stuff that they have now.
Oh no, you didn't have electronic boards and 15
And
million
everything,
different dice.
all these. Yeah, I mean, you literally had to have someone that was dedicated to be a dungeon master to make the experience even slightly fun. If you had a crappy DM, it wasn't worth playing.
I remember the first,
and it was imagination. You had to have imagination to play it back in the day.
I remember the first alternative dice that I ever saw was just something that somebody crafted. Their dad had cut them for them, and then they used a Dremel tool to basically carve out the numbers. It was janky. It's not like professional. Now you can get them in like any type, gold, any color, any Which you know what? Good for them though. Free, good for them. Dungeons and Dragons taught us a lot growing up, and I think it really helped a lot of us geeks that are Gen Xers or Gen X geeks in dare I say free problem solving.
Oh yeah,
with a lot of that stuff. So kudos to them. So
and
Converse,
how to use graph paper. I mean,
that is true. It's the first time I really needed
sitting there
graph paper.
sketching your dungeons out as you're going through them, and like,
Yes.
okay, there's some stairs. How far down? Okay, I mean,
Yep. Yeah. Oh, the worst thing you ever see is a dungeon master that gets a smirk on his face after you answer a question or make a decision.
yeah.
Oh. Anyway, so Converse is releasing Dungeons and Dragons gear, which I think is cool. Celebrating the 50th anniversary of the original game. Shoes will be available on April 11th. They draw inspiration from the first edition, and you're going to like this, Free. Dungeons and Dragons Handbook, Monster Manual, and Dungeon Master Guide. I remember going into the bookstore to find a specific section to grab those. Oh,
Yeah.
it's so good. All right. And finally, this week,
I mean, I ain't gonna lie. I for one, I've always been partial to the Chuck Taylors. I used to wear them back in the day.
me too, for skating.
I've got one for everything: racquetball, skating, basketball, you name it.
Yeah.
Ass kicking. I like that black pair with the orange.
Yeah, they're
orange
good looking.
stitching.
They're good looking. They're good looking shoes. So finally this week, I'm going to do a little rant. Because we're not, when you're listening to the show, and I know we have several listeners that I work with that listen to it audio wise, which is awesome. And I have a few that watch it on video. I thank you guys, all of you guys, for that. I appreciate you all. Mike. I appreciate you all for following us and listening to us and believing in us. But we're not broadcasting on Twitch. I don't feel any longer with BGFG. Stick style, maybe, because it's still stick style. But BGFG in the talk shows and podcast section, I don't believe we're going to be broadcasting on this. I don't even think I've had an opportunity to talk to Fremo about this yet, but Fremo doesn't care. Like, Fremo trusts my judgment in a lot of these things. And if he doesn't, he fucking verbally tells me to fuck off.
Yeah.
And we change it back. But screw you, Twitch. I'm over it. I'm fucking done with you people. I am tired of competing with scantily clad women that do not produce content at all. Rebo and I work on the show for an entire week and then do it and then produce it and send it out there. And I'm tired. It's bad enough that I had to deal with people that were just sitting in their chairs, twiddling their hair, wearing low-cut shirts or tank tops with no bra, and skating around the terms and conditions that Twitch was putting forth. And this was the former CEO and the current CEO. And it just pisses me off. And
Yeah,
I'm
but
tired of
they're shutting all this stuff down now.
No, they're not. See, this is the thing. They're not shutting this stuff down. If you look at some of the view content, like at any given time, we're not a big podcast. I think we have a very good podcast to put on Twitch compared to the other ones that are out there. I think our audio is better. I think our production's better. I think the cut and feel of our show is better than a lot of them. I think our content is better than a lot of them. Now, I'm not talking about the people that are working in professional radio stations that are using Twitch as another platform. I get that. But we've put a lot of work into the show for decades, okay? We've got this down to a fucking science, and we produce content for people. We don't sit there and, I could easily have, Freebo and I we have hot redhead wives. We could easily have our wives do the show, or our wives go on stick style, and we could play the game while they're just sitting in the background. We could do that, but we don't do that. And the fact that no matter how much we work and put the show together, some meta on Twitch does more business than us. Now, I get it. Me and Freebo are not the most attractive men, and a lot of the younger folk think that
Speak
we're
for yourself, dude.
And
I can't even go outside if the wind's above 15 miles an hour.
Douchebag.
It's the curse of being smoking hot. The breeze kicks up and I catch a light.
And a lot of the younger folk are looking at us as the elderly. No, I get that. I get what you're saying. I really do. But I'm talking about sheer content. You're sitting, these metas are creating bad business, in my opinion. And they're doing a lot more business. So there was, for instance, there was body painting. So, okay, you have a topless girl, but she pre-paints her boobs and her nipples before she goes on the air. Now, there's a few of them that because again, I always watch our competition, whether it's the sports show or three guys talking in their bedroom, one of the guys holding up their mic on a raw wire. Like, I've seen the unprofessional stuff. I've seen the more professional stuff. I've seen a lot of this stuff. I appreciate the women that can paint themselves to look like something else while they're doing a stream, and the prerequisite is to have their boobs covered already in paint. I get that, and that's artistic, and I don't disrespect that. That is content. But for the other people that are doing things like the pool, so when they said that you can be at the beach and wear a scantily clad bikini because you're at the beach, what's the prerequisite? I got to be in water. Okay, so these people just grabbed indoor pools, like little pools for the little kids, filled it up and put it in their bedroom and streamed from that so they can wear like tiny bikinis. You're not creating content. You're not a content creator. You're not.
Yeah.
You're selling something.
I believe there's a website that they could go to
yeah,
and not miss a beat. What's it called?
What's the name of that one? Yes, OnlyFans. Now, I get it. If you're one of those people that want to put a Twitch stream up to promote your OnlyFans, I understand what you're doing, but I don't agree with it. Twitch is not the platform to do that. Find another way. You already have an OnlyFans. Use a social media platform instead, like Snapchat or one of the other ones. I can't even think right now because I'm so heated.
Pornhub,
You have women showing their bare breasts, but right below their boob line, like I'm doing right here. And then when they get a sub, they jump up and down. And you hope all the little thirsty fucking teenagers and old scumbags are sitting there hoping that they get to see a nip shot. Ooh, is this going to be the one? Is it going to be an areola? Did I see an areola? I'm giving her a donation. I'm giving a subscription. That's bullshit. And then they started with the whole artistic one, which is where you can have bare chest and then you're putting a black line across their nips. And now it's gotten, look, let me make this abundantly clear to you people. And I don't give a fuck if you can send me email or not. I don't care. You are not content creators. You're not. You're selling something. And like Fremo said, you should be on OnlyFans. And go to OnlyFans, make a huge amount of money. You are beautiful women. Go make your money. Go do it. But leave this stuff alone, because other people like ourselves, and I'm not
And
just
enjoy the
speaking of-
money, because at some point you ain't gonna look so good, and ain't no dude want to get away with you anyway. So have fun now.
Fremo and I work very hard at this, and I guarantee you there's other people that work equally hard. And I'm not talking about the gamers like us on Stickstyle. We're notorious for having a little corner video and the game showing up, and that's it, just like everybody else. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about the podcast people. Fremo and I work hard at this. We have other people, other friends of the show that work very hard at this to create good content. I have a friend that does that I've coached him on doing manga podcast. I've had people that do conspiracy theory podcasts. I've produced like 6 or 7 different shows. They're making content. You are not. Sitting in your chair with a tank top on, talking about fucking nothing, hoping that some thirsty motherfucker shows up and pays you a subscription fee and then possibly cancels it the following month. That's not a content creator. And the fact that you get so many views so quickly, you rise to the top. And me and Fremo and everybody else that's working hard are down at the bottom. Nobody's strolling down that far. They're not. And that's the bullshit. That bullshit.
I hear you. I'm taking my shirt off now.
No, don't take your shirt off, please. Go to OnlyFans. That's what you're trying to do anyway. Go to OnlyFans. We're all trying to get a piece of the pie, and you are hindering everybody. And the fact that you're breaking all these rules, we've put ourselves in a competition of competing with people in bikinis and sitting in pools in their living room. That is not quality content. And now, Fremo, the whole reason why I brought this up, we now have green screen booty scenes. So people, women, ladies, fucking have some self-respect a little bit. If you want to do that shit, go to OnlyFans. I don't disagree with that. Look, and I'm not saying you're doing that, but that is like right up there with one of the oldest professions, okay? If you have a body for that and you don't mind doing that, go get your money. Go get it. Amaroth is one of our favorites because she's not hiding what she does. She's a multi-millionaire because she's invested her money using what she looks like. So she's bought 7-Elevens. She's bought gas stations. She's done that shit, yet she still has time. She does this post, that post. I believe now she has an OnlyFans. She's utilizing that platform and herself. And she knows that she's not going to, like Fremo said, she can't sustain it. She knows that, so she's invested in other things. The people that are doing stuff that's absolutely stupid, when ladies put up a picture of their asses in booty shorts or a tight-fitting tank top and using them as green screens while they play a shitty game in a shitty way is friggin' awful. And it destroys it for the rest of us. It makes it very hard. Look, Fremo and I have said it 100 times on this show. We are not looking to make money. Would we like to live in a mansion next to each other, 2 different houses next to each other, and do this show full time? Fuck yeah. The odds of it happening about as good as
I've already bought the compound.
I know you already bought the compound. I know. The odds of us doing this legitimately is the same odds as us getting hit by lightning twice or winning the Powerball. Okay? It's just not a normal thing. But at the very least, I would dare say that after 20 years of doing a podcast and not asking for anything from anybody, we should not have to fight in this way to get views or to get up in the ratings. We shouldn't have to, because somebody has a large breast, wears a tank top, puts on too much makeup, and does jumping jacks to get subscriptions, or every time they get 50 subscriptions. We shouldn't have to compete with that. We shouldn't have to.
Yeah,
and
Twitch,
I think it's awful that Twitch has gone that route.
Twitch needs to, and or any other platform needs to decide, do you want to be,
Free OnlyFans?
Yeah, basically. I mean,
yeah, it's what it is.
So I've got no problem with dropping Twitch. You know me.
Yeah, I know. And I wouldn't have thought about that unless I went through like a lot of
Oh, I
thought
know.
about that.
I know.
Statistics. So if you want to watch BGFG, you're going to end up having to watch it on YouTube. It's the streaming network that I don't know if we're going to we'll stream on it eventually. I got to work out a few things, but we're going to stream on it eventually. The problem with streaming on YouTube right now is the music. We value the music that we play here on the show. And I would have to edit every single video afterwards to take out the song. But if you listen on an audio podcast using Stitcher or BuzzFeed or Apple Podcasts, you're going to get the music. And we do pride ourselves over 20 years. We've broken a lot of bands on the show. I don't care what anybody says. We did. We played them before anybody local radio stations played them. And we take pride in that, and we bring you information that's not political, not religious, and not leaning any specific way. And we do it with our fucking clothes on.
And while being somewhat funny at times.
Somewhat. Now we're going to end up going to play Helldivers, I'm sure. Just to give you an update on Helldivers, as for April 1st, and for those that are listening before we end the show, I just want you to know that I've already started compiling. Today is April 1st. We're recording this after Easter because, fuck it was Easter.
Yeah,
but April
and we
1st,
both value our family times, and that was a family time for both of us. So,
amen. And and on April 1st, we try not to, like, Fremo finds it funny because I do a lot of the digging for the news, and then Fremo approves it. But it's so hard on April 1st to find good news. At least now they're starting to deteriorate and say that it's an April 1st joke. Some aren't. I want to go with Razor's Cthulhu chair this month. I've compiled the list. So next week we're going to do it's probably how we're going to open the show most likely, but we're going to do the April Fool's Day jokes. And there's a lot of them and they are good. There's a lot of good ones this year, Free. I think everybody jumped on the bandwagon this year. So it's going to be good. And one of the things you can count on April 1st, if you ever played Overwatch or you do play Overwatch, on April 1st, Overwatch does googly eyes on all of their characters and is the funniest fucking thing you will see. Because the game doesn't change. It's just googly eyes on all the characters.
Yeah.
Which is great. What Helldivers, which we've been really high on Stick Style, and that's what we're going to go play in a minute. Helldivers.
Yeah, I'm going to have a conversation with somebody if it doesn't win Game of the Year.
Yeah, no, right? I can't see how it won't. I've never seen a game this online persistent like this. Like, it's constantly evolving and changing without changing the game mechanics. It's just incredible. But what I was going to say is that, so a couple of weeks ago, I want to say, maybe a month ago, time flies, there was a planet that they called the Helldivers Vietnam. And we lost that planet to the Terminators, for lack of a better term, automatrons. We lost that planet. Now, Freebo and I don't usually play those. They're a little bit harder. I'm not really a fan of them. I like the bug version better.
But, you know.
I like the bug version better because it reminds me of Starship Troopers. But the other one, he's showing Helldivers. He's already in it. Wait for me, you douche. And by the way, your screen's all blurry still, idiot.
Because you're an Apple boy.
Oh, shut up. There was a planet. I can't remember the planet right now, but look it up, people, and you'll see it. There was a planet that we lost. And like the whole, like Joel made us lose that planet because everybody was playing that one planet so often. And he upped the ante, and then people jumped in more, and we lost the planet, like in a bad battle. That planet is back today and today only to play. I jumped in earlier today, Free.
What's the planet?
It's over in the automatron section. It begins with an M. Are you going in now?
Oh no, I'm at Hellmire.
Oh, fuck Hellmire.
I am jumping in my pod right now, though.
That place is like it's hell. It is literally a hell planet.
Yeah.
So for one day they're pulling back that planet, and you just have to defeat the planet. And last time I checked, it was at 97% because everybody's on that planet. I love that type of April Fool's Day joke type thing, but I do have stuff lined up for next week. We're going to do a lot of April Fool's jokes. There's a lot of them going on. So, again, I know Freeman doesn't have anything else. I don't have anything else. So that's it for this week. Tents down, show's over.
Whoop, whoop.
So you can find more of this garbage at bgfgonline.com. You can also send us an email with your questions or suggestions at bgfgshow@gmail.com. Find our podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, Overcast Podcast, Castro, Castbox, Podchaser, and YouTube. Thank you for listening.